Hello, third grade team. I am coming to you with some number corner notes for November. And they are in 2020-2021 November number corner. And these are the notes that I have in there. This here first is what Bridges suggests this year for number corner. And I would say from now on, the in bold are the major hitters. You have calendar grid, calendar collector, and number line. Okay, so if you keep scrolling down, then I have my own thoughts and things for each one to remember by. You have calendar grid. Calendar grid, it is working with arrays. So it's so exciting because you have been doing this in Unit 2. And as you're working through those arrays every day, you'd also be talking about the idea of area. This array is taking up how much space, how much area, how many squares is it taking up? Okay, so there you go. Every day, let's do some arrays. Hip, hip, array. Now we go to calendar collector. Collecting unit fractions. Yep, if you remember, these are those pieces that I made you years back that maybe you don't have anymore, where you're spinning and collecting either halves or fourths or eighths. So as you introduce this game, or this collecting thing we're going to do every month, you'd put these three fractions up on the board or on a little whiteboard and show the kids like 1/2, 1/4, 1/8. What do you notice? And what you're trying to get it out of that is that all of them have a 1 in the numerator or on the top. So these are all called unit fractions. There's one of each of them. There's one of the halves. There's one of the fourths. There's one of the eighths. And guess what? We're going to have them race all month. They're going to be in races. So it's called the unit fraction race. So whether you have it on paper, if you're interested in doing paper again and having some chart paper where you have lines on it and you are literally gluing these pieces on, here is the paper version, and these are where you can find what you need to print out for yourself. If you'd rather do it online, here is where you can find the spinner, the 2 spinners. So you'd pull it up each day and then you'd be like, okay, we're good. One, what do we got one of? A half. So we get to pull out 1/2 piece, okay, today. And where would you put it? Well, this right here is a new Google Slide activity that Bridges came out with this year. And if we take a look at it, you'll make your own copy. And then each day you just bring this up and see who's winning the race. So on this Google Slide document, on slide number, it takes a little bit for it to load, but slide number 2 has, it's not on here yet because it's still loading, there it is, has a little feature for you as the teacher to be like, oh, what am I supposed to do on this? So you can take these pieces from down below and bring them up as you spin. So for example, we just spun, so if I go to slide number 3, you just spun a half. So this is the half line. This is where we're doing halves. So I'd pull one of these halves up to my halves line, be like, on day 1, who's winning? Well, the fourths haven't gotten any. The eighths haven't gotten any. Half is winning, right? And how far is the half? So then I'd take one of these little tick marks. I'd bring it over. And then I'd bring over this fraction right here. And we'd fill in how far along is the half line. Well, we're 1/2. We're still only 1/2 of the way across the line. I mean, not halfway across the line, but we're at 1/2 right here. If I go and spin again, now I'm like, okay, day 2, we got one of the halves. Oh my gosh, we got a half again. So now I'd bring up my half here, and we got another half. So who's winning this race right now? Still the half. The half is still winning, the unit fraction 1/2. Well, how far along is the half line? Well, now we have 2 of the halves. So we've gone 2 of the halves, which is really the same thing as 1. So I could also bring that over and say that the half line is now at 1, the number 1. And no one else has gotten anywhere. So if you want to keep track online with a Google slide, feel free, or maybe you want paper version. As the month goes on, bring up the idea of equivalent fractions. And guess what? We actually just did on day 2 that 2 halves is the same thing as 1. But as you can see down here, they're looking at 3/4 ends up being the same amount as 6/8. So those are called equivalent fractions. So just bringing that idea up. Then you have one other thing to look at, and that's the number line. Now you've done changing endpoints. This one is all about rounding, and you're going to get into rounding in Unit 3, but this introduces them to it, so it's kind of nice. So you start out by placing the numbers 0 to 100 on the number line, and you put those multiples of 10s in there. Then in this game, you'd roll 2 dice, form a 2-digit number, and figure out where it goes on the line. Then you'll be like, hey, which multiple of 10 is it closest to? And then they pick which multiple of 10, and then you say, hey, this is called rounding. And you actually rounded the number to the nearest 10. So this all down here is like the complicated sort of version of the game. Me personally, and then I made here's the paper version of the game if you want to look through that, if you want kids to have a record sheet with you. But me personally, I'd go smart notebook version of the game. I made one, and it's very simple. You just pull this up, and I would say, all right, here we go. We're doing this. I'm me versus you guys. You guys, should we go for more or should we go for less? Someone's like, let's go for less. Okay, we're going for less. Whoever gets the least amount wins, okay? All right, so we have, boom, what do we got? A 5 and a 5. Oh gosh, so I can only make 55. So that's exactly in the middle. Of course, I get one that's exactly in the middle. So is it closest to 50 or is it closest to 60? Which multiple of 10 is it closest to? Oh my gosh, it's exactly in the middle. So guess what? We have to have a rule for that. And the rule is if it's exactly in the middle, it goes up to the next one. So this, I got 60 points today. How about you guys? Okay, let's see. They are rolling, and they got, oh gosh, they can make 24 or 42. Well, 24 is even smaller, so they're going 24. They mark it and say which one is it closest to, and they got 20 points for that round. So far, it looks like they won. They beat me, okay? You could play another round and be like, okay, let's play it again and let's go for least again, and then we can add our 2 scores up if you're like, I want to do more than one round, okay? To make it harder, your scores could be the actual numbers, but it makes more sense if you're working on rounding to just use the rounded numbers, okay? All right, so there is the number line, round and add. And then computational fluency, skipping over and solving problems. You could also skip because you're low on time. It is about solving multi-step problems. So if you're interested, you could do 1 multi-step problem a week together. And if you're looking for some examples of problems, you could look through these multi-step problems there. All right? Okay, math on, everyone.